It's me again. I just haven't been posting much than I would like to. Um, I am just been thinking, um, like there's been like some topics about like autistic people like in pain, and it's um a lot of people with autism have problems like with feelings and emotions and communications and pain. And it's like just because someone with autism has um, doesn't say that they are in pain doesn't mean that they're not in pain. Like, I kind of have to be asked um, if I have pain or not. Excuse you. Okay, get off. Cinnamon. I don't move. Hey. No, off. It's just that, like, people, like, just because they don't say that they're in pain or not doesn't mean that they're not in pain. Just because it's like I just guess I have really dense bones. I've never broken a bone. I've had fractures, but it was never like a complete break. And I was told that my bones are denser than everybody else, even though at the time I wasn't like overweight like I am now. I was weighed like 50 pounds more than everybody else my age, and I was just told that my bones were really, really dense. And so I had to, like, when I was like probably like 8 or 9, somewhere around in there, maybe 10. I fell out of a truck, and when I stood up, I saw that I had ripped open my knee. Like, I saw my kneecap, like the bone, and right before it started gushing blood, and I went and got my dad, and he took me to the hospital, and they had these needles that were like maybe like 12 inches long. Like, they cleaned it up, and I could see them cleaning up all the rocks and stuff and dirt out of around the skin area and off my bone. I used it like a toothbrush to clean everything up, and I was like, just they had this foot long, like probably 12 inches. That's what you need. 12 inches needles that went in between the skin and the bone, and they numbed up all the way around it. And it was a big hole in my knee, and that hurt really, really, really bad. But I didn't show much reaction to it, even though it hurt. It's just like, that's what I'm saying is, just, if you have autism, you don't respond or react like other people do. And so it's like, they didn't know how much pain I was really, or they probably did because they've done, that's what they do for a living. So they've probably seen other people have issues with it, but it was like they started sewing me up, and after a while, I could, like, there was part of my knee, my skin, that I could feel the needle. I could feel the needle going through my skin, and I told her, I said, they want me to say if I could feel anything. I said, hey, nurse, I could feel this. And she like, do you want us to numb it up? I'm like, no. I was like, because the needle, that big ass needle that they had, that the numb with the whatever they use, Novocaine or whatever the stuff that they use for numbing up your nerves, and hurt more because it was like them sewing just felt like a little pressure, like a little, like someone just lightly push you at your skin, just like very lightly and stuff, and it didn't. I'd rather have dealt with that than, so they never numbed it up more. But I was just didn't want them to, just because it wasn't that bad, and I I've had lots of medical problems, and that's how what initially got me on Social Security disability, because I was just always in and out of the hospital with like ear infections. I had sinus cancers, and I've been to St. Jude Research Hospital a couple times, and like 3 or 4 times. And after the third visit, I was offered backstage Reba McEntire concert tickets, and I wish I would have taken them, but I turned them down. But on one of my times where I was had ear infection, where it was on the other side of the eardrum going to its way to my brain, which would have been a brain infection, they had to cut my ear almost all the way off. So there was this little stretch right here, that like in front, that didn't get cut, and so they flipped my ear forward so they get all the tools in there because that ear canal is smaller than my left one, so it takes hard to get stuff in there, and plus it was behind the eardrum, and you need more space to work, and so after that, like I had a whole bunch of stitches. I don't remember how many stitches I had holding my ear on, and I went back to I was healing really fast, so the doctor said that he wanted to take the stitches out like a few days early. I was like, okay, and then he had an intern do. He was like, "Are you fine with the intern doing it?" And it's like since I was a minor, it didn't really matter what I wanted. I was fine with it, but it was like, I'm just saying that since I was a minor, it's all up to my mom. But the doctor asked me, not her, just because it should be the child's decision. And so the intern was, I'm not sure how she made it that far, because she did not know how to take the stitches out. So she's sitting there pulling on the stitches, and it hurt really bad because it's sore, because it's still healing. It's like your whole, like, from the top of my ear to the bottom, all the way behind it, is cut, and she's sitting there pulling on the stitches around that cut, and you're supposed to clip some part of the suture, and it comes out, but she wasn't doing that. She just was pulling on the on my stitches, and it hurt really bad. But I wasn't saying anything. She was just waiting for, because I didn't know that she was doing something wrong. I don't. That was like I know that was my second time having stitches, but I really didn't know how to take out stitches. So she went and got the doctor, because I wasn't making a sound. I wasn't like jerking or anything, but I was crying, and she saw I think the tears going down my face, and she went and got the doctor, and I could hear her out in the hallway saying, "I can't get the stitches out," and he's crying, and there was no. I wasn't making any sound because it was non-verbal, but I definitely had tears coming in my eyes that hurt, and so the doctor came in and was like, "Yeah, you're supposed to cut this," and he cut it, and they all came out, and so that's what I'm kind of saying. Is like, just because just because you're the autistic person is not telling you about the pain, doesn't mean they're not in pain, and sometimes you have to ask the person because they're not just gonna tell you. No matter what their age is. I'm like in my 40s, and I still won't tell anybody like when I'm in like lots of pain. Like it all depends on what it is because it's like they did a blood draw on me, and they're very hard to find my veins on my arms. So she started going fishing, and she hit one of my nerves in my arm, and I didn't flinch, nothing like that. I don't even think she knew that she hit my nerve. But my arm, from my elbow down to my hand, would get throbbing pain, like, for hours, for like probably like 6-7 months, maybe closer to a year, before it was finally completely gone. So since I had 2 spine injuries from, one from falling off a fence when I was 5, and another one from being a car accident, and so now I have to have cortisone shots because surgery is not guaranteed to fix my back, and I like walking too much, so I'd rather walk with some pain than not walk at all. And so they do cortisone shots like at least 3 months, but sometimes I could wait longer. And they I'm not sure how long the needles are because I can't see it, but they go it's on my very lower back, like really low, and that's where they enter. And they do 2 needles, one on each side of the spine, and they go all the way to the spine, and they're trying to get as close as they can to the nerve without touching the nerve, and they're using X-rays. So it's like, I'm glad they never hit one. I don't want to find out what it feels like for them to hit a nerve back there. But if it hurt that much in my arm, I can only imagine what it would do on my back. Will the pain go down, up, both ways? I don't know, but I do not want to find out. And it's uncomfortable when they do it. I feel a lot of pressure, and it does hurt for a little bit at the beginning, but I don't know how I would respond if they actually hit the nerve. I don't know what my response would be. So it's you just need to, like, if you're dealing with somebody that has it, you just need to, if you know they have chronic problems like with that, you need to ask them when they're in pain, because sometimes I've had a hip replacement because I have the leg calf perthes, the rare hip disorder. No one knows like how bad the pain was, and there before my hip replacement, I could barely walk, and now I'm able to walk, but I still have one more hip that needs to be replaced, and right now I can't do it because I'm overweight, and I don't want to go back to the hospital that I went to just because I was supposed to go to rehab, but they refused to send me there after I had the hip replacement. If they would have told me that before, I would have found another hospital that would have sent me to rehab, but they said that because of insurance reasons, there's a standard question that they have to ask you, or you have to meet before they release you from the hospital. Okay, yeah, I'm getting up. I'm not like a senior, so it's like easier to heal. I'm walking around because I was able to stand 12 hours after my hip replacement. I stood up for the first time on that new hip, and so they said that they had me walk upstairs, which you have to do a certain way after the hip replacement, so you don't dislocate it, and if you dislocate it, you have to have surgery again. Because it's so easy to dislocate it because it's like they had to cut the tendons and stuff, and so there's nothing on the check mark on the box that talks about if I'm alone. Okay, I live alone. And they don't want me using the stairs for the X amount of time after the hip replacement. I live alone. How am I going to get upstairs? Because they want someone with me when I use stairs. There's no one here. There's just my dog and my two chinchillas. I live with nobody. I live alone. So when it's time for me to cook, how am I going to cook? Because I can't stand for very long periods of time. I don't got enough money to be ordering food like to be brought to me. And how would I take the trash out? And also, like when I first had this hip replacement and they sent me home, they sent me out too early because the hospital was arguing with everybody. They were arguing with like my mom. I have a person that's my payee that takes care of that. They're arguing with them about me going home because they told everybody that I was going to rehab, but all of a sudden I'm going home and they're not even ready, and I don't have nothing prepared or set up, and I'm supposed to have OT and PT come over to my house and meet me there so they could go through everything. It's like it took me a half an hour to get into bed because they weren't ready. I had no tools on how to get into bed. I had no one to help me. And there's no one to hire to help me either. So it's like just the whole bathroom situation was kind of hard too because it's like I can't just get out of bed and go to the bathroom. So it was just a whole messed up situation, and it's like I will not use that hospital. It's they blew everything that they had, and I'm saying bad things about them just because of what they did to me. And it's the Porter Hospital in Denver, which I will never go there, and I do not recommend that hospital. The doctor was great, but it was just the hospital that were not very friendly and lying to people by saying that I'm going to rehab when I really wasn't. And the program I'm in said, they asked the hospital, they said, can you please give us 24 hours to set things up? And the hospital said, nope, don't care, you get out of here. So I was forced to go home, which home was 70 miles away in one direction, and I'm not supposed to drive myself. So they had nothing planned, nothing ready, because the hospital wanted to be a jerk about it. The Porter Hospital wanted to be a jerk about it. But they're supposed to take into account, do you live alone? Yes, I do. Do you have stairs? Yes, I do. They forced me to go a week without showering. I could not go take a shower for over a week, and it wasn't because I couldn't get it wet. It was I couldn't do it alone, and I had no one. They didn't have OT or PT set up, so I was expected to do it alone, which no one showed me how to do it. Or so then they hired a nurse to come help me every couple of days. But it was just a nightmare and a mess, and it's like all these people that are like in Congress and that make these rules, they don't care, because if they did care, they're going by numbers that are not realistic on financial stuff that give people that are disabled of any kind or on Social Security, but mostly just the SSDI, where it's like if they gave me enough money, I could have hired someone to help me do stuff, because they got nurses that are available to spend quite a bit of deal of time with you, and that know how to do all that stuff, and that's what they do, is just help people that have just gone through that kind of surgery, and so it's like it's the wealthy that
Upstairs.
yeah. So I make this channel for two kind of purposes, two reasons, just to get awareness and to let people know about different symptoms of autism, and I just like to make some money, some extra money, just so I could do stuff. So I'm like trying to get monetized, but I'm not sure if that's gonna work or not, or how that'll. Because I already run some other YouTube channels that can be monetized, but YouTube is not nice to creators. They will say it's required that you have a, a, a website. Okay, what do I need to accomplish with this website? What's the point of this website? Don't know. You got to guess. You got to try to figure that out and guess what we want. Like, what direction should I go? Don't know. Don't care. Guess which direction you want to go. Like, that's not helpful. Just tell me what I need to accomplish with it. And every time I've been working on it for like over a year. It was June of 2023, and every time I fix the problems, they keep sending it back, saying nope, it's not finished. They'll send me a copy, and they'll send the Google or whoever the YouTube stuff the other result. So just not really a nice system at all. So it's I just know how to get around all this. So I'm like, that's why I want a YouTube channel, because it's like I'm thinking that it's the best bet to get the awareness out there and get help and like see if I could earn some money to accomplish stuff, because it's like I have to buy chinchilla food and dog food out of my own money, and if I didn't have like a job, that I would have no income at all. I but this is kind of different, I would say, because I fell off a tennis court fence. Or no, sorry. I actually totally spaced where I was going with that, but um, just ask the person if they're if they're having any pain, and like if you know that they're having like medical problems like that, you need to ask them like. I don't know. Just ask them like depending on what you think is appropriate. Just ask them like every couple of hours. Are you hurting? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Yeah, it might get kind of annoying, but you're they're not the person with autism is not guaranteed to come tell you when they are feeling like they have pain or stuff like that.